This is Saskia, and this is Note to Self, your weekly dose of everything that's simply too long to text. Consider this your personal invitation into my inner circle, where I share my thoughts, feelings, and quiet reflections that usually live inside my Notes app. Thanks for joining me. I have a special guest today. This is Ziggy. Ziggy, say hello. Hello, baby. Hello. Oh, that's very cute. Kiss, kiss, kiss. So Ziggy is a dog that I look after in LA, and I love him. He's my friend's dog. And Jeffrey and I have been looking after him for about 3 years, so I feel like he's my little adopted baby. But I wanted to show him to the podcast listeners. He's the most cuddly little boy in the world, and I'm going to let him get down because he's probably very uncomfortable. But welcome, Ziggy, and I am in LA. So potty from LA. Okay, I'm going to put Ziggy down. Welcome to episode 3. As I mentioned, I am live to you from sunny California. LA, baby. The city of angels. I think that's what they say, right? I was about to be like the city that never sleeps. I was like, God damn, bloody New York's still in my brain. Been here for about a week. I'm in Venice right now, and we'll be here until next Friday. Well, LA generally, and then I'm heading off to Mexico. So next week you'll have a episode of Mexico. But exciting news for the potty. We went viral, y'all. Oh God, send help. One of the social clips, let me explain. One of the heated rivalry ones, the many heated rivalry clips from last week about women being into the romantasy genre due to the slow burn and the build up and yada, yada, yada. And that one went a little viral on Instagram, which was exciting. We got 12K views. So that's exciting for me. And thanks to everyone if you shared it with your friends. I so appreciate it. And it was super interesting to kind of reflect on like why the video went viral. I was rewatching it because I couldn't, at first I thought it was a different one. And as I mentioned, so much of it was talking about what I went into was like women oftentimes needing like longer time to climax and needing that kind of build up generally. And I wonder if that's why women are interested in this genre at large. And a lot of the audience for obviously heated rivalry is women. So I found it super fascinating that was the one that seemed to resonate with people. And I was really happy. So yeah, it was cool to see like different comments and people sharing their thoughts, and it seemingly a lot of people were affected by it in different ways. And shout out to all the people who've gone and watched it after listening to the episode and that you've loved it. I am living for this. Every time someone's messaging me being like, I just finished it, I'm obsessed. I just really feel like, we're doing God's work here. Really building our boys up. Also, did we see that they will be, I don't know if, I probably should research this, but I'm pretty sure the Hudson and Connor are going to be carrying the torch at one element of the Winter Olympic Games. We love that. Give them the stage, y'all. Everyone wants to see them. But anyways, back to LA. So yeah, I'm here for 2 weeks. I bloody love it. I escaped the blistering cold of New York City. Sorry to my friends and people there that are freezing in the polar vortex that is coming through. A severe storm is hitting New York. But yeah, hanging out. I'm going between the east side and the west side. So the east side, I'm more in Silver Lake. And I kind of like think of that neighborhood as more like Brooklyn vibes. It's a lot of young creatives. I mean, like again, it's elements of that. But I find like a lot of my sister and her friends live over there. Really cool bars and restaurants. I really like the nightlife scene more over there. And then for a few days, we're looking after Little Zigzag, and we're in Venice, which reminds me so much of Sydney. And this is more considered the west side. And also LA listeners, please don't kill me if I'm getting some of this wrong. I am not a native LA person, but I'm pretty sure I got those 2 things right. But yeah, so we're in Venice, which really reminds me of Sydney. It's funny because I think of it as very laid back, and I think it's because it has this beach culture. So it's, there's a lot of surfers, and I mean, there's definitely like tourists and the little young TikTok girlies around, but yeah, lots of little healthy spots. And I think just it's very walkable, I find. So I like it because I'm not someone that loves driving. I'm not a great driver. I get really anxious with traffic. So that's great for LA. But yeah, it's something about it it reminds me of how I lived in Bondi. And I think it's just the community and everyone's very kind. And there are a lot of Aussies here. So I really like the vibe over here. But I think I was reflecting on something on my first episode. I was talking about the energy of New York, and the contrast is so different to LA when you come out here. LA feels so grounded to me, despite the stereotype of LA being the complete opposite of that. But the energy of the city feels very grounded, I think. And I honestly think so much of it is because you're really close to nature. It's more spread out. So it's not like New York where everything's built up. So you can find moments of solitude, I find, quite easily here. And that's really hard to find in New York. I mean, I can think of 2 moments in my nearly 10 years of living there where I was totally alone. One of them, I was living in downtown Manhattan, and I used to go to the West Side Highway a lot. So it's on the west side of Manhattan. It's this like long strip they've built out that people run down, and there's little parks that offshoot it. There's some studios, tennis courts, tons of stuff. And it was like a rainy, I think like must have been, it was kind of cold, so maybe it was fall. And I'd gone down there and I looked around and I had this realization that I was the only one there. And I just felt this immense freedom in a way. And I remember I looked around and no one was there. And I just looked out to the river because it's on the river there, the Hudson. And I just like screamed. I can't even remember what I said. I think I just like yelled out, "I'm alone," or like something like that. Such a weirdo. And then the other moment, quite opposite of being completely alone, was it was like second half, I guess, of 2020. So, and the second part of COVID that year when things had started to open back up in New York. I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, the really famous one on the Upper East Side. It's one of my favorites. And one of my all-time favorite paintings is called The Reclining Nude by Modigliani. And I was in the room, and this museum is always very busy. I mean, all the museums in New York are busy. And I went to the room where this painting was, and I was standing there. And again, I had this realization that I was like, oh my God, I'm completely alone. And I got to stand in front of my favorite painting for 10 whole minutes, and no one came into the room, no security, no people. The museum was so quiet. And that moment is just stuck with me for so long, because what a joy and what a wonderful thing to happen to be able to spend that time with a painting that speaks to me so much and have it just be you and this work of art. And those were my 2 solo moments in New York. I mean, I'm sure there were other ones like late at night walking home or something, but 2 very distinct moments that stuck with me. And then when you compare it to LA, I could bloody drive 20 minutes to a hike in the Santa Monica Mountains and likely not see anyone. I probably might see someone, but there would definitely be moments of not seeing people. And I remember doing a hike in Malibu when I was here last time with my mom and Jeffrey, and we were the only ones on it. And it just seems a lot more attainable to have those moments of solitude because it's so spread out. But echoing on to that, so there's this grounded energy, right, in LA. And we are giving you a heads up. We're getting real woo-woo. Do I even need to give you guys a heads up? I think you know that this is where I'm at, right? But we'll keep doing it. Just a PSA. So some of you might remember when I tricked my old co-host, Kat, with the anthropology rock bit. I don't know if people saw that online. It was like women mainly were tricking their boyfriends or husbands and getting like a rock delivered, or pretending that they'd bought a rock that they just grabbed from the backyard and making out that it was this like super special rock from anthropology. So I kind of pivoted on it and told Kat I bought this rock online, and it was like from all these ley lines, and ley lines are like the Earth's energy fields. And this one was from Egypt, and that I'd spent like a stupid amount of money on it. Anyways, that was the whole bit. But ley lines are actually a real thing. So despite the rock being from my back garden in New York City, ley lines are real. And what's something that's really interesting about LA is there are a lot of ley lines down this side of the coast. So Los Angeles is considered to be positioned right near one of these big ley lines. And as I mentioned, they're thought to be like Earth's invisible, energetic, like spiritual pathways. It's like the Earth's energy, you could think of it. And oftentimes these lines create these very condensed areas for like spiritual energy. So there's quite a few like little towns outside LA. I don't know why I'm blanking on the names off the top of my head, but there's a few that are, known as spiritual places. But LA itself is like that. So I think what you feel here is in LA, you bounce more off the Earth's energy than you do other people. I think New York, you're bouncing off other people. It's this really excited, full-on energy. And here, I feel so much more relaxed. I was going to say less anxious, but I don't think so. I think I'm always anxious. Let's be real. But definitely, I know I've used this word, more grounded. And I think you just live a little slower here. So it's nice to have the contrast between the two. And Jeffrey lived here for quite a while. And he used to say he lived in New York for a while, then came out here. But he used to say LA for him was probably more suited to his lifestyle, and New York was better for his like work. Because I think you can tap into the energy of wanting to, keep pushing forward and getting really excited and wanting to work really hard. Not that people don't work hard here, but I think that energy can help propel you, if that makes sense. But yeah, I guess if you look at this a little further beyond the energy lines, is I started to think about like the LA and New York stereotypes. And I mean, I kind of hate stereotypes, but it's worth diving into. Because the LA one, right, we see it in reality TV, fake looks, fake vibes, everything's led by image. It's that very image, money vibe. And I'm getting that from like most reality TV shows that are based here. And I think it's interesting because that's such a juxtaposition to the earth energy that you feel here. And I find the stereotypes fascinating because there are elements of that here, right? Like there's no denying it. If you go out in West Hollywood, which, I mean, I'm not saying just West Hollywood, but that was where I remember experiencing it once. I did like a dinner there like a year ago. And I was like, oh, this is what I see on reality TV. Because I hadn't seen that. I just had seen like regular people, and more honestly, it felt kind of New York vibes to me, or like I said, Sydney. And I think these stereotypes are interesting, but ultimately they're such a disservice because no place is ever one thing. So despite having seen some of that here, you choose the kind of group that you want to be a part of, or the type of energy you want to be around, or the type of lifestyle you want to live. My sister lives here, and all her friends work in film and production, and they're all creatives. And it reminds me a lot more of probably like the vibe of people I know in New York. Although actually I have some creative friends, but so many of my friends, we work in the corporate world. Woo! But you understand what I'm saying. People could still be creative and do both. But I think it's more that stereotype was interesting to me because it goes against the energy that I feel here, but ultimately it also doesn't exist too. There's so many different things. And I like to play this game because I think you can think about the things you love about New York. I love how walkable it is. And despite New York having this like higher energy, I do feel like the people are a little more low key, which is funny. Again, it's like such a juxtaposition. But then LA, I love the more relaxed, slower way of living. And I think I probably just need to spend more time here because to be fair, all my friends who I know here are ex-New Yorkers. So maybe what I'm seeing is also not the reality of what the city is. So look, stay tuned. I'm going to keep spending more time here. And I think ultimately, Jeffrey and I likely see ourselves moving here. Hope my LA friends are excited. So in like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years or something. And we want a slower life eventually. Not right now. I think we love our life in New York, but I think that was where we would see ourselves going. And having, my family here and being closer to Australia, one flight instead of add on the 8 hours to get to the other side of the country. So I'll be interested to see when I move here what I start to see. Because so often when you're somewhere for a short amount of time, I guess you're just like enjoying your lifestyle here. But that is my little New York, LA spiel. So moving on. I kind of wanted to dive into Traitors. That's a quick pivot we switched into. But before diving into my other topic today, I did want to discuss the current season of Traitors. And for those who do not watch Traitors, you're missing out. it is campy, it is fashion, it is drama, it's strategy, it's human psychology, it's everything that you could want. Alan Cumming is the host. I mean, say less. He is just such a star and brings all the drama. I love how much people lean in on. And again, for those who don't watch it, it is a reality TV show, but it's more of like a game show. It's very campy. So when you go in, you have to realize that people put it on. It's for the show. And the idea is I can't remember how many contestants to start. It's all actually reality TV show stars that are in it. The first season was a mix of reality TV show stars and regular people, not celebrities. So at the beginning of the show, 1 or sometimes 1 to 3 people are picked as the traitor, and no one else knows. The other people are called faithfuls. And the whole goal of the show is to try and figure out who traitors are and make sure they get out. And every night someone is voted out, and they are able to say in that moment when the group votes them out at what is called the round table, they all come around, they write the names down of who they think, they write a name down of who they think they want to vote out that night. They have a discussion. Everyone's, working together to try and find traitors, and the traitors are working together to try and stay in. And at that point, the person who they voted out goes and stands and then says whether they're a faithful or a traitor. But it's really interesting because it's a lot of, obviously, strategy. There's a lot of, I'm trying to think of the right word for it, because it's almost like in politics where they go and like whip the votes. That's exactly what they're doing. They're having to whip votes behind different people they may think are a traitor. And you'll start to see, I think the human psychology piece that's really interesting is people who kind of really start to lead the group more. They become the leaders of the group, which can sometimes backfire, because if you're too outspoken and you keep getting it wrong, people will think that maybe you are a traitor and you're deterring and swinging the group to make sure that they keep getting faithfuls out. So there's all these dynamics at play. And then if you're too quiet, people are like, ooh, like you're really quiet. Why aren't you saying anything? Maybe you're a traitor. You're under the radar. You're playing it safe. So I find it so fascinating. And then beyond everything else, it's the fashion. And like I said, the campiness of it. It's so dramatic and fun. And I would love to do this show. It seems like a blast. And this season has been chef's kiss. They've really nailed the casting. Lisa Rinna from Real Housewives, love her. And Rob from Love Island with Maura from Love Island. I mean, say less. 2 of my favorite Love Island people. I mean, I hated Rob on Love Island. I mean, I love to look at Rob on Love Island, but he was so annoying because I was a Leah girly. This was not last season, the season before of Love Island USA. And I just always love having the Love Island stars in there. And Maura's like the biggest kind of star out of Love Island UK, Love Island franchise probably generally. So it's been very fun to see them in it. And Rob and Lisa are 2 of the traitors. And Rob, I think, is one of the best traitors we've had. Because his personality is so low key, no one really suspects him ever being quiet or that maybe something's up. And he's playing this very sweet Southern boy. And he's just, all the gays and the girls can't look past his looks. And then he has made good relationships. And what he's doing is, he said something really interesting in the last episode where he was saying, I'm playing this game as a faithful. So even if he's a traitor, I think obviously what he's doing is, in his mind, he's telling himself, I need to play it as if I'm a faithful. And I think that's what's happening. And I think that's what is making this work so well for him. And beyond that, great television. I mean, casting 2 housewives or the other 2 traitors and then Rob. And then they meet in what's called the turret every night to have their discussion on who they want to kill that night. And the housewives who are just so dramatic, obsessed. And then Rob is just so deadpan. He just seems like a regular dude you've just pulled off the street and thrown into this situation. It is hysterical. And I am so here for it. I hope he makes it to the end. I would love to see him and Maura make it to the end. And poor Maura totally trusts him and he would backstab her because that's just what he's going to do. He's going to take the money. But it's been really fun. And I love watching the psychology behind what all the players are doing. And I'm very excited to see how the show continues to roll out. So message me if you're watching. And to add on to that, I know I mentioned the first season was, regular people and celebrities. They are casting just like regular people. I hate saying regular people, non-celebrity. There we go. Version of the Traitors. I don't actually know if it's going to be like the first season, but I think I'm going to audition. It sounds so fun. So I've been looking at the audition. I have not done an audition for a show in years. And I was thinking to myself, if I was on the Traitors, would I want to be a faithful or a traitor? And I honestly think I'd want to be a faithful. Like, I could do the traitor thing if I had to. Just give me a role. I'll figure it out. But I would really struggle lying to people and then making like friendships. I'd feel so freaking bad. So I think my ideal situation would be to be a faithful. And I feel like I was thinking through what my strategy would be. And honestly, it's relationship building. But I also could see myself getting into scenarios where I really strongly believe someone might be a traitor and then diving more into the like whipping of the votes. And those people are sometimes the ones that either stay in it or they don't. But honestly, I would just make friends with everyone and then have fun. Like, see how things roll out, baby. Make some good TV, wear some cute outfits. Come on. What more do you need? Back me up, guys. Let me know if you think there's any ideas of how else I should get on this show. So yeah, that's been consuming my life the last week. I binged all the first 5 episodes. And then today, what I really wanted to discuss beyond LA Traitors is what I mentioned last week was oracle cards. And I have realized that I have left them in the room over there. So pause with me while I go get them and then we'll dive back in and I can explain to you what we're talking about today. Oh, ow. Fell over my pants. Okay, we are back. So for a second, I thought I'd left the oracle cards in New York and I was about to have a meltdown because I did a whole prep on taking you guys through this. Oracle cards. So that is what we were talking about today. As I mentioned last week, I wanted to share with you my oracle cards. And they're just like a different form of tarot cards. They're way easier. Tarot obviously is a skill and something that you need to practice. Anyone could pick up an oracle card set and figure it out. So everything is really up to your interpretation. There's different illustrations and themes, so it's a lot more flexible on what you pick. And I really use them for spiritual guidance and when I just need to reflect or just have a moment to reset. I kind of wanted to start with just really letting you guys know, like, what do you kind of need to know before you dive in? Because I'll take you through actually a whole process today. But you can get cards that are really anything. You can have fairies, dragons, angels, animals. They're all different descriptions of the cards. And like I said, they give you therapeutic messages and the characters actually represent some of these messages. So part of the reading is what's written on the card, but also what you feel when you see the images and what they reflect to you. So when choosing your deck, it's important to choose something that does resonate with you in terms of the imagery. So, you can just search oracle cards online and there's a million, or you could go to, I think some bookshops will often have them, and any like spiritual store will have quite a few. And as I mentioned, the decks are super simple. Each will have an instruction manual, but essentially it's a meditative practice and you pull the cards after you ask a question. Like, you really can't get it wrong. It'll show you like further steps that we'll go through, but that's the gist of it. So I got my oracle cards. I actually have 2 boxes here. I have these roomy ones that my mom got me recently. These are my travel box and like ones I'd share with friends. And just because they're much smaller, I love how I have a travel oracle box of cards. Dear Lord, send help. Anyways, and then I have these mermaids and dolphins because I'm a little water baby and I love mermaids and dolphins. And these were actually my grandmother's. So my grandmother was a super spiritual person. She unfortunately passed away. Must have been about like 9 years ago. And I think I mentioned this in the podcast before. We lived with her because my family looked after her. She had Parkinson's. And so I spent a lot of time with her growing up. Obviously, we lived together. And she was just such a spiritual person. She used to say she would astral travel, which is when you're meditating, you leave your body and can go anywhere you want. And she was just truly the most inspiring person ever. And being around her, you would feel such grounding energy. I use that word a lot, but truly that was it. And she would just provide such a safe space. So when she passed, she had a few different decks, and my sister took one and I took one, and we picked the ones that kind of resonated with us. Lily actually picked hers first, and then she was like, I thought the mermaid and dolphin one would suit you. And it definitely does. So these cards are really special to me. I actually don't let other people I don't like share these cards with anyone else, just because I feel like the cards really attuned to your energy. So if you do share a deck, like say I was sharing this one, which I probably like this one, I would more likely share with people. You just sage it or Palo Santo it between readings. But usually it's nice to have a deck that's just yours. And I always feel very close to her and that we're speaking to each other in a way through these cards. So usually how I start is we can see here, you've got a whole deck here, instruction manual, as I mentioned, and I'll hold the cards, close my eyes, and I breathe in through my feet and envision this like line connecting me from my head up into the sky and my feet into the earth. And then I call in like my spirit guides, guardian angels, my ancestors, my grandmother, and I call them in, whoever you want. You don't have to call in anyone if you don't want to, but call in some type of support in that moment. And that was something my spiritual teacher of mine taught me in Australia. And it's just a way to connect to kind of things around you in a way and settle yourself. And oftentimes you can ask very specific questions. If I'm needing guidance, I'll do that. Or you can ask more generalized questions kind of based on what I need to know now. And I remember for what I need to know now, you can pick, usually I do 3. It tends to be the number of cards that calls to me. But again, you can really pick if you feel like you need more, if you feel like you need less. Again, it's all up to your interpretation. That's why I love these, because it's just totally, you can make it what you want. And at the end of it, you put your cards down, you read about it, and then at the end, always make sure to close your space. So you thank whoever you invited in to help you, and let's say, you close the space, and that's your practice. So you can really make it anything you want, and I'll take you through one today, and we'll pull some cards and see what comes up. And I think really like I've changed it over the years to suit what works for me. And I mean, I like to call in my guides and ancestors because that's something that resonates with me. And if it doesn't resonate with you, I don't know. Sometimes I call in my dog that died. I call in Sam. You can literally do anything you want. So Sam's probably with us today. Oh my God. Imagine if he's sitting with Ziggy in his little bed. That would be really cute. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. Anyways, but yeah, call in anything that really emotionally grounds you, I think. Oh my God, take a drink for the amount of times I've said grounding, seriously. And I think what do I need to know is a nice way to start, especially if you're new to this. It's just very open-ended and you can kind of see where things go from there. And then if you have more specific questions, you can also keep pulling the cards or keep doing another reading. So I think let's get going. So what you do, because I forgot there's actually a little bit more to this process I forgot to talk through. So we'll breathe in. Okay. And then you feel the line connecting you from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. You guys could even do this now just as a grounding exercise, even like without the deck. And then you have your deck. Mine's in my hands under the desk. And you can start shuffling the cards. And you'll drop the card. One moment, please. Sometimes they actually say the card that falls out should be one that you should keep. So maybe I'll put that one out because that can sometimes be like, if a card flicks out, it means that like it's something that you need to read. Anyways, shuffling the cards, and I'm going to ask myself, what is it that I need to know? And what you do is as soon as you've got like a ping that tells you just to stop, like I don't need to shuffle anymore, then you stop. And you put down your 3 cards. I'm going to do 3. So we have got have faith. Your prayers are manifesting. Remain positive and follow your guidance. It's a little mermaid jumping out of the water. Again, like these are same prayers, like whatever. I'm not like super religious. I'm definitely spiritual. I think of my prayers as like my own little messages to myself. So you can, again, you pick what makes sense to you. Music for manifesting. To manifest rapidly, think of your desire while you chant, hum, sing, or play music. And then it's a mermaid sitting on a moon with a harp. I love her. I feel like these mermaids, I always resonate because I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm a mermaid. And then make a decision. Feeling stuck or indecisive, listen to your intuition and make a decision. Interesting. So what you have is you have your book. This book is instructions, but it also dives into each of the cards. When you pull the 3 cards, these are in incremental, usually when you're asking, what do I need to know? So have faith. My first card would be right now. Music for manifesting is something to think about in a month, and then making a decision would likely be something that might come up in 3 months. So you can look at it and, you'll pull out the have faith card, or you go to the have faith. It's in like, alphabetical order, and you can see there's like a little thing here. So I'll read one of them. I don't need to go into all of them for you guys, but have faith, because that's the one that's right now. Your prayers are manifesting, remain positive and follow your guidance. So that was what was on the card. Then it says, good work. You've been asking and praying for some big dreams to come true, and it's working. Just like a gardener who has planted new seeds, you must have faith that your crops will push above the surface. Keep watering your dreams by taking the steps that make them flourish. This is a precious time for you and your dreams. You don't have to strain or push to make them come true. You've already accomplished the major part of manifestation by asking and praying. Trust that heaven, it's kind of like more on the religious side. So trust that, what's like the word the universe, there we go. Trust that the universe is helping you, just like a best friend would if you asked for their assistance. Your job is to have faith, listen for divine guidance, and take action whenever you're guided. Guys, that's really beautiful, because honestly, I think this is like so poignant, and this is what I mean. This was the one that flew out. So I clearly think there's something here, because I did have some moments when I first started doing this solo where I was like, oh, fuck, like, is it good? Do we like it? Is this the right thing? And it's definitely like a different process. It's a lot more work doing it by myself. But seeing, the positive outreach from some of the social clips and you guys messaging me and those who are listening and supporting me, this really does give me faith. And then seeing that card, I think it's just more reminder to keep doing what you're doing. So you can see it's like so easy. And obviously I didn't open the space and do all the other things that you can do. I think, oftentimes I'll light candles and put out little crystals or burn some Palo Santo. But you can really take it wherever you want. And, I sometimes am very specific if there's something I really want to ask. And again, the deck will tell you like the incremental times of what the cards mean and things like that. But I guess in a month, I should start listening to more music. And then at some stage, I'm going to have to make a decision. So I don't know, we'll figure out what that is. And in 3 months, I'll bring it to the pod and let you guys know. I'll make a reminder. But I love these cards, and I hope it's something that maybe would resonate with other people. I think a lot of what I spoke about last episode was around like having a process for resetting, and it doesn't always have to be the new year. And I think the reason I like this, and it used to be something I would do every month on the full moon, and I've really fallen off, but I want to get back into it. But I like it because it's just so easy. It doesn't have to be this super complicated process. You buy one deck of cards. Usually after I pull my cards, I'll write down a ton of notes reflecting on what each of these messages mean to me. And like, look, I think the other important thing to point out is if you believe in like spiritual energy, the universe, whatever, like even if you don't believe in that, I think of this as like, this is just unconsciously tapping into your own information. And I do believe that there is this energy around us that we can tap into that's beyond like how we communicate as humans. It's this other level that we can tap into subconsciously. And I think that's what intuition is. I think that's what gut feelings is. So often when I've had these moments or I've led into that and listened to that, I've been led to some very weird things that have happened, people I've meant to run into, or situations that never would have happened if I didn't follow that gut feeling. And I think in these moments, especially when you're meditating, you're getting rid of all of this verbal and sensory almost communication, and you're really just tapping into yourself. And when you can access that, I think the messages you get are beyond like a linear time frame. I'm getting so on off the wall here, but hopefully you're following me. Is I think that energy that the universe is not working in a linear time frame. So things that may be going to happen are either already happening or they have happened. And I think that's when so often when you're learning about manifesting, they say, you put it out into the universe and you let it go, but you have to, when you're putting it out, have gratitude for it and almost gratitude that it's already happened. You have to embody that it has already happened. So sometimes if I'm asking a very specific question and I get the cards, I'll then meditate on the desired outcome that I want and envision myself living that moment as if my life hasn't even changed. And I think in the past, I used to kind of mess that up and I would envision almost my life being different. And I think where it started to shift is when I was like, oh, these are things I want to do, but it's just being brought into the existing life I already live. And how do I feel right now? And how would I feel if I'm doing that in 6 months' time, this dream that I have? AKA, let's like give the example of the podcast. The audience grows, 100K followers, we're going to keep saying it, 100K listeners. And what I'm doing right now doesn't change. What I'm feeling right now doesn't change. The audience grows, great, and this becomes like more of a business for me, which would be great, but nothing else changes. So instead of like feeling into this different type of energy, I think I feel into how I am now and how much joy this brings me. And then I just feel it as if it's like I'm already there. I'm already speaking to these people. They just haven't found it yet. And that is something that really shifted my practice. And I noticed it specifically because when I used to do this a lot when I was an actor, and I think acting was not what I should have been doing, and I loved it. It was just not aligned for me in that time. But I think I was wanting it so bad I couldn't almost be with where I was, if that made sense. It felt so far-fetched and away and far away, and that it would be so different. And I remember having this moment a few years ago where I was like, oh, acting's just like any other job, and I would probably hate it on certain days, just like anything else. And instead of just thinking I wanted to act, I started to think about how I want to live my life, and having the freedom to create my own content and own my own schedule and tell my own stories is what led me to podcasting. So this was a long tangent, but the through line here is really, you don't have to believe in this stuff to find moments to just connect with yourself, whether you think you are connecting to something that's a different type of way of communicating, a different energy field in this planet. I think it's just a good way to connect to yourself. And I believe all those other things that I just said, but you can think of it as just your own internal messaging, which ultimately it is. It's just, I think you're tapping into another way to find it. So I'm interested to actually hear from people if you end up getting oracle cards, what you think, or if there's other practices that you do. I'm always down to like hear other things. My girlfriends and I actually, it's like once a quarter we'll get together and we do a little full moon ceremony. And what we do is we write down things we want to let go of and things we want to bring in, and we burn it and read it together as a group. Everyone goes around, and it's a very healing practice, and being with a group of women and you're all holding each other and being there. There's so many different things you can do. You can do that by yourself, but there's something about the cards that I like because it's very tangible and I don't need to like prepare anything, which is all about making things easy. We don't need to make it difficult for ourselves. But I hope that you guys enjoy that. And I really would love to hear, like, truly, please reach out if it's something you end up doing, or if you need some advice on oracle cards or just any type of cards. I think so much of this practice is just putting time aside for yourself. And this is going to seem like such a weird tie around, but reality TV is also, to me, a moment to reset and give back to myself. It's pure escapism. Heated rivalry was escapism, and reading these like romantasy novels is escapism, and that also is feeding your soul. This is feeding it in a different way, but I think I say this to Jeffrey a lot because he doesn't understand why I like reality TV. Look, I'm very specific about my reality TV. It's Traitors, Love Island, and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And I was like, is there any others that I watched? The real estate shows. I watch all the real estate shows. But it's full escapism. And to me, it's so nice just to disconnect and not have to think about the everyday world that I'm in sometimes when I'm watching these. So what I'm trying to say is do the things that make you feel like you're giving back to yourself, whether it's watching a silly TV show or doing something meditative and recentering to get messages of things you might need help with. There's so many different things. Working out, what we were talking about last week, eating well, so many different things you can do to give back to yourself. But there was a tie through, and I did want to share that. So I think today's episode was about presence, grounding, intuition, slowing down, watching Traitors. Go watch it. Love you guys. And go get some oracle cards. And yeah, I hope that you'll listen. You're enjoying it. And I'll see you all next week from sunny Mexico. I will be there for my next 2 episodes. So chat to you then. Bye.